Things have gotten pretty tense lately between China and the United States, and with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic adding more risk to the mix, many industrial manufacturers are starting to shift away from trading with China's market. Interestingly, because of this shift from China, many manufacturers outside of China are considering taking over the Chinese market now, especially the maritime aspect of it known as the South China Sea area. But what does all of this mean for China? Well, they're losing out, while countries like Vietnam are gaining some major benefits regarding global manufacturing and the supply chain. We'll dive into all of these developments and more in this video, so get ready, stay tuned, and let's kick things off. For a long time, China has been Vietnam's biggest trading buddy. The two countries have been great trade partners, with China making up 15.5% of Vietnam's exports and a whopping 32.9% of their imports. However, for all their trade relations, China and Vietnam have also had a rocky relationship over the years. They've had beef over maritime territory, particularly the use of the South China Sea, and just a few months back, this dispute between the two countries got heated again when Chinese ships went into Vietnam's special economic zone without permission, leading to both Chinese and Vietnamese ships chasing each other in the South China Sea. Now, as much as Vietnam doesn't compare so much to China when we talk about economic power, Vietnam still holds its ground as a hub for major suppliers to global tech giants like Apple. And some of these suppliers, especially up in northern Vietnam, are going all out to expand their operations by reclaiming land from the South China Sea. Why would they want to do this though? Let's take Deep Sea for example. They're a Belgian company managing 5 production zones in Vietnam. Recently, the company recorded a crazy surge in demand for space at their industrial estate in the north. But why? Because it's become a hotspot for major suppliers to global tech giants. This in turn has happened because of the ongoing shift towards countries like Vietnam for trade. It's all part of the China Plus One strategy, where companies aim to diversify their global supply chains because technology and security rivalries have intensified between China and the US. Because of this rivalry between China and the US, many businesses have become concerned about potential restrictions on their manufacturing operations in China. So, even though China remains the world's largest manufacturing hub, these companies want to set up operations in other countries besides China to protect their operations. And it's been a fascinating process. Korean, Taiwanese, and even Chinese companies have increasingly jumped from mainland China to other countries, actively seeking new locations to serve their overseas clients. And all of these countries that have benefited from the shift, Vietnam stands out. Just last year, foreign investment in Vietnam reached its highest level in a decade. Vietnam raked in a whopping $22.4 billion from foreign direct investment projects, marking a solid 13.5% jump compared to the previous year. The government's data revealed this impressive growth and also revealed that while FDI in Vietnam experienced a slight dip in the first 5 months of this year compared to the same period last year, the interest in investing in Vietnam remains robust. In fact, Vietnam managed to attract 962 new FDI projects, including during the initial 5 months of this year, which is a significant rise from the 578 projects it got during the same time frame last year. For all these successes, however, Vietnam's investment trends have also highlighted risks and uncertainties involved in shifting resources to countries like it. The country's bureaucratic and physical infrastructure, for instance, including the electricity grid, is struggling to meet the growing demands of manufacturers. And even though Vietnam's impressive export-driven growth has lifted millions of people out of poverty in the last 30 years, and it has secured a significant role in the tech supply chain, diplomats stationed in Vietnam believe that the country is at a crucial turning point. They've emphasized the need to streamline bureaucracy, establish a more transparent regulatory framework, and eliminate unnecessary red tape that hampers progress. The finance minister of Vietnam, Ho Duc Phuc, recently mentioned in an interview that unlike most would think, Vietnam's infrastructure is currently on the rise, becoming more modern and improved. He also pointed out a significant draw for investors he's sure will keep Vietnam afloat in housing these manufacturers: the availability of cheap labor in the country. According to him, Vietnam has an abundant supply of workers. However, some investors, on the other hand, claim to have noticed a tightening labour market in Vietnam already. For instance, Pegatron, a major supplier to Apple, started manufacturing electronic equipment in Hai Phong last year and aims to have a workforce of 20,000 in Deep Sea by the end of next year. However, the company is facing the challenge of finding suitable employees and is considering investing in dormitories outside the city limits to accommodate its workers. Similarly, B. Braun, a medical technology company employing around 1,100 people at the Than Oi Industrial Complex in Hanoi, plans to double its investment and workforce within the next 5 years. But with the labour market becoming increasingly competitive, B. Braun is contemplating building dormitories on site to address the housing needs of its expanding workforce. So, from a practical standpoint, the labour market in Vietnam is tight and presents a growing difficulty for these manufacturers or employers. Finding highly skilled workers is challenging, and the high salary expectations of Vietnam's young and highly qualified workers doesn't help. For clarity, the monthly minimum wage in major cities in Vietnam is around 4.68 million dong, or $198 per month. However, the average salary expected by workers in the manufacturing space runs from 15 to 18 million dong per month. That's between $630 to $760 each month. Now, as Vietnam develops, the idea of its independence from China's resources is also a far cry, because the country still heavily relies on China's manufacturing hub around the Pearl River Delta. As some smart economists have pointed out, this is essentially Vietnam's Achilles heel, and the country will need to make some smart choices in the coming months to sustain itself as the go-to alternative to the Chinese market. One way Vietnam can tackle its eminent problems would be by getting its big shot investors involved in boosting its entire supplier system. Take Samsung for instance. They have a bunch of factories and a research centre in Vietnam, and they're the top foreign investors there. Another trick could be to have companies stick together in groups. Look at Pyeonghwa Automotive for example. In 2019, they joined forces with 3 other companies and moved to the Haiphong zone to increase their product quality in the Vietnamese market. Now, while this strategy may not be the easiest to run, it's still pretty useful, because regardless of any concerns anyone has about labour, infrastructure or other things affecting Vietnam's capacity to house incoming manufacturers, hardly anyone thinks that the whole China Plus One growth parade is going to stop anytime soon. It's like a wide open floodgate. Companies just keep pouring in. So, new techniques will need to be employed by the Vietnamese government to see how these manufacturers and companies can function together in a space that may feel enclosed, but still allows them to run their operations seamlessly. Vietnam's ability to get this done in real time will let us know whether China's loss really stands to be Vietnam's gain or not. And that's a wrap for today's video. We hope you enjoyed going through all the juicy details with us, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you want to keep up with more awesome videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to activate the post notification bell. That way, you'll get all of the exciting new content we release about the ever-changing global economy. Trust us, you'll want to know all the latest updates. So stay tuned, stay informed, and until next time, take care.